Welcome everyone. This is day 5 of our guided exercises from the Balanced Riding Course free workshop. We're also getting ready for enrollment to open on Tuesday, so we're just a few days away from that. And in today's guided exercise, this one is going to be a little bit different, so I'm really looking forward to taking you through this. We're going to be exploring why you ride, but we're going to be going more than just the surface level of this, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So I had to also share today, I have a little supervisor that is helping us here with with today's video, making sure that I stay on track. Actually, last night, said supervisor, Frida, ate a chicken foot that was a little past its prime, and she has not been feeling so good since. And when she's not feeling good, she's constantly by my side. She's normally a pretty independent dog, but she's had a bit of a stomach ache, so I set up her chair so that she can hang out while I'm doing this video. Okay, so let's jump right into this exercise for today. Also, just one last little housekeeping is part 3 of the workshop is out, and part 3 is talking about confidence, and specifically how to build confidence so that you can experience that feeling at any level of riding. And this is something that I am super passionate about, because I find that so many people think, okay, once I learn this, and this, then I'm going to feel good. Then I'll have confidence. And while confidence certainly does increase with skill building, absolutely, we can have confidence at any level when we're challenging ourselves in the right way. And that's the exercise that I'm going to take you through in part 3 of the workshop, is really building out what's your comfort zone and learning how to challenge yourself, that you build skills instead of just scaring yourself further, which is unfortunately what happens to a lot of riders and to a lot of horses as well. This is the interesting thing to keep in mind with everything that we're discussing, is that the same concepts that are applying to us as riders apply to our horses. And it's one of the reasons in the Balanced Riding course that I teach so broadly, meaning that we start with horse behavior, we go into groundwork and basic handling, and then we go into riding and progressive skills in riding, because it ends up being the same concepts, the same things that I teach you to do with your body when you're leading your horse, in order to be able to give them more information about, okay, I'm going to ask you to slow down, or I'm going to ask you to speed up, or ask you to stop. It actually ends up being very similar to what we do in the saddle. So it's the same with this comfort zone and this confidence building exercise and concept that we're talking about in part 3 of the workshop, is that when we're talking about it in the workshop related to the rider, but you can absolutely relate the same thing to your horse to help your horse build confidence, whether that's confidence on the trail, going into new places, whether that's confidence jumping, whether that is confidence getting out to horse shows, whether it's just confidence in riding in general, like the little horse that I worked with in part 2 of the workshop at the mounting block. When our horses know what is expected of them, when they are confident in how to respond to our requests, they can be so much more calmer. There's so many horses that have anxiety around riding just because they get confused about what we're doing, what we're asking for, and that confusion makes them anxious, just as confusion can make us anxious if we're thinking, am I in the right place? Where exactly does my leg go? What does my riding instructor mean by that? So that's really what I'm looking to clear up for you starting in this workshop. And for those of you that decide to continue and really want to go on this journey and continue with the learning in the Balanced Riding course, is really about clearing up the confusion, empowering you, not just as a rider, but as a horse person. Okay, so that is the last housekeeping before we go into today's exercise. So also welcome to everyone that's on. I saw a few of the names coming up. Welcome to Jen, to Sheila, the other of you that are on here live. I really appreciate you being here, and appreciate those of you that have been tuning in and watching these as the recordings afterwards. So for today's exercise, for this one, I would encourage you to write down your responses. Whether you want to do it here as we're going through this together, whether you want to take another moment later to reflect and write them down, it's a really good thing to reference. And if you have it written, it's easier to come back to it and to reference it. So we're going to go through just 2 questions, and then we're going to do a bit of a visualization together. So the first question that I want to ask, and I want you to pay attention when I ask these, to the first thing that comes into your mind, kind of your first initial response. And then you might have more things as you think about it, but pay attention to what first comes into your mind. So the first question for you is, why do you ride? Why do you ride? What drew you to horses and riding in the first place? And we all know that riding can take a lot of resources, that riding can have its risks. So why do you ride? So I want you to reflect on the answers that came up for you, and I would love if you could put them in the comments too, because it helps not only to share yours, but when we start sharing them and then you can see what other people are writing, it can help to spur more ideas. So why do you ride? I'm curious if your first response was something that was maybe something like, well, I really like horses. I've liked horses ever since I was young. Or maybe it's, it's something that I've dreamed of doing when I was a child, and now I finally have the opportunity. Or maybe there's just this feeling of connection with the horse. I love it. JD just put in, for my mental health. Jessica said, it's therapeutic. I've always felt drawn to horses. Amazing. Terry says, love of horses, love the connection and the fun. These are awesome responses. So in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to think about this question in a slightly different way. And oftentimes when we first hear a question like this, we think of things like, well, I love horses, or it's just been something that I've wanted to do. It's been something that's felt like it's a part of me. But I'm going to encourage you, when I ask the question again, to think about it, kind of ask yourself why. So if it's, well, I love horses and I'm drawn to horses, think about it at a just kind of one level under that of, is there a deeper belief and a deeper reason that you love to ride? So let me give you some examples to help understand what I mean here. Something that might be deeper, might be under that, is I love to ride because it gives me a feeling of connection to something other than myself. Because I'm connecting with the horse, I'm connecting to nature. It could be, this really touched me reading one of our stories again from a Balanced Riding Course alumni member, Amanda, who said, my mother died of breast cancer. And when that happened, I realized that I wasn't going to wait to do the things that I loved. I wasn't going to wait in life to do what I wanted to do. Is there something like that for you? Is there something that's even deeper, even bigger in why you ride? Something that's really close to your heart, something that is really a part of who you are and what you want to express. For me, I could say that I love to ride because I love the feeling of it. I love being on the back of a horse. I love to ride because I love animals, and figuring out how to communicate with the horse and having that feeling is really special for me. I also love to ride because it helps me learn so much about myself, and it makes me so much more aware, and inspires me to ask more questions about life and about what I can learn. And I ride because it guides me to new experiences, to new people. So I'm curious what it is for you, and I'm going to just reach out and see if I can go through some of the comments here. So keep putting in the comments as you think about this. Are there other reasons too why you love riding? Jane said, no matter what I'm dealing with, I'm never sad when I'm around my horse. Amazing. Debbie said, I love riding because of heart and mind connection. It teaches me to trust, and how amazing to have the trust of a horse. Yes, so good. And that's exactly what I'm encouraging you to reflect on here, is those bigger things that riding and horses teach us, that teaches me to trust and to have the trust of a horse. There's so much more to riding than just, how we sit in the saddle, and where we need to put our leg, and how we hold the reins, and how we use the reins to ask the horse to turn. All of those things are very important skills to learn because they're part of the big picture. But I find that when we can stay connected to the bigger reasons, it helps us keep the challenges in perspective. Because in riding, in this process of learning, inevitably there's going to be challenges. You're going to have rides that are frustrating. You're going to have challenges with your horse, have behavior problems, or have injuries. And in those times of frustration, when we can go back and we can have that memory of, this is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for something bigger than just being able to say I can ride a horse. Doing it for something bigger, it helps us to keep moving through those challenges. So we're going to go into a little visualization as part of the exercise together here today. And what I'm going to guide you into visualizing is really the feeling that you connect to most in your riding. So just take a moment, get comfortable wherever you might be. I find that when I do these kind of visualizations, it's easier for me if I close my eyes. So you can leave your eyes open or you can close them. And just start by taking a breath. You might go back to the sensory exercise just for a moment that we did in part 2 or day 2 of these guided exercises, where you just tune into your senses. It's a wonderful way to come into the present moment, to come into your body, is just notice, even with your eyes closed, what are you smelling? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? Feeling the chair or wherever you're sitting or standing right now. And then I want you to go in your mind's eye to one of your best moments with a horse. And it may be a ride, maybe a time that you were riding somewhere, maybe out on the trail, maybe in an arena. It may have been a time that you were just with your horse. You were out in the pasture with them, you were grooming them, going for a walk. Doesn't matter what the experience was. What I want you to remember and what I want you to feel is the memory of it, the feeling of it. If you were back there in that moment again, what would it feel like in your body? And just stay with this for a few more moments. Give it a few more details in your mind. What were the senses that you could feel in that moment? What were the things that you were hearing? What were you seeing? If you were riding, what did it feel like, the reins in your hand? What did the surface of the saddle feel like, the movement of the horse? Was it a feeling of calm? Was it a feeling of excitement? Was it a mixture of different emotions? And now just to let that memory fade and come into a different memory. Another favorite memory with a horse. Again, it could be riding, could be anything you were doing, any horse, any time in your life. And feel the memories here. Feel the feeling of it. See if you can tune into what your senses were at that time. And what was the emotion that you can remember from this moment, from this time? Was it similar to the last? Was it different? And just stay with this one again for a few more moments, filling in the details, remembering and feeling the details of it, the different pieces of it, enjoying it. And then go ahead and come back. You can open your eyes if you had your eyes closed for that. So I would love for you to put in the comments, what was the feeling that came up in those memories for you? So when I do this, when I go back to my favorite horse memories, they're usually two types of feelings for me. One is either of being really calm and connected, like just feeling like I could almost think something and my horse was picking up on it, and we were just so connected and flowing together. And oftentimes those memories are more times where we were in nature too, maybe just walking along and I was noticing beauty in the trees or something around. And then the second memory is often one of excitement. Like here, as I was just talking about it, I had a memory of my previous horse, Molly, and going through some big jumping grids, and just that feeling of flying through the air, and then she would land and she would be so excited that she would do these like twisting little half bucks, after the grid. And often I was doing it with just the collar, doing it bridleless. So just had to ride out those twisting bucks. So it's that memory of feeling and excitement. Okay, little change of, I need to rescue my dog. She's fallen into the seat and can't get out. So give me a moment to rescue Frida. Okay. I have to do some chair repair after this. So those are the kind of memories that I get. I'm curious, what are the memories that you get? See, Terry says, when I ride on the trail or the beach or any pretty setting, I feel close to God and in harmony with nature and the horse. Amazing. I know there's more to the comment. It won't let me open it here on my little screen. But think about those feelings that you had in that little exercise. And I would encourage you to remember that feeling and to use this feeling as something to tap back into, but also as a bit of a gauge. Because here's what can happen sometimes with something like riding or learning horsemanship, really anything, if we have a focus sometimes on like, okay, I want to learn and improve this, is we can get too focused on the tactical and the to-do of it. Okay, I'm going to learn to ride the canter. So you go out and you drill your transitions and you do all your exercises that you're supposed to be doing for learning the canter. You kind of lose sight of really the joy of it and the real reason that you're doing it. You lose sight of the times that create those really strong memories, like that just came up as we were doing that exercise. So for me, this is really a gauge, and this is something, speaking honestly, that I have really only learned to do in a more conscious and consistent way in the last few years, is really remembering the feelings of the reasons that I'm doing something, the reasons that I'm riding, that I'm working with horses, and allowing that to be my gauge. If I reflect, and I reflect on the day, reflect on the week or the month, and I think about my rides and I think, how did I feel? Because if I'm just going along and I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling like, oh, time is running out, I should be doing this faster, or why isn't my horse progressing, then I'm losing sight of the real importance of it and the real reason. And I find that the more that I improve in my skills and the more that I am able to do, the more that I just realize that there's so much more that I can do, and so much more that I can learn, and so many more people that are doing things way more amazing than I'm doing. So the beauty of that is that there's constant availability and opportunity for growth and learning. And what that means is that, as trite as it might be, we really need to practice enjoying the journey, enjoying all of the little moments along the way. Because if we just focus on, okay, I've got to do my checklist of exercises and I need to reach my goals, then we can lose sight of what is really most important, and what is going to create those memories that in another month from now, if you close your eyes and you do that same little exercise that we just did, what new memories could come up for you? So that was the exercise that I wanted to do today. Thank you so much for everyone following along. I can't wait to go in here and read your comments more fully after we finish. Those of you that are watching the recording, make sure you leave your comments in here as well. Catch up on any of the workshop or any of these guided exercises over the weekend. The workshop will be open as well during balanced riding course enrollment. So you do have about another week to go through this and to watch everything. And I will be back here. We'll be doing some lives throughout the week as well next week during enrollment. More focused on questions that you have about the course and different aspects of the program. But I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon.